It's How I Make Money with Andy Beadle. I am Andy Beadle, and this is How I Make Money. Our guest today is Wanda Bhala from South Africa, and he is the proprietor and owner of Hypermedia Marketing down in, you guys are in Durban, is that right?
Yep, Durban,
Okay.
sunny Durban. That's
So,
we're like the Miami of South Africa.
sunny Durban, the Miami of South Africa. That's actually that's a good
Yeah,
selling point. And Hypermedia is a
yeah,
marketing firm. They're a marketing consultancy. I'm very excited to have Wanda on the show today. Just one, to learn about a new market. You know, the South African market is, I think, really blowing up in a lot of ways, especially with the advent of TikTok and some of the more visual
yeah,
social media platforms. So I'm excited to talk about
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
know Hypermedia's website is being rebuilt as you guys come out with a new version, but you can find
Mhm.
them on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube at Hypermedia Marketing. So welcome to the show, and thanks for joining us, Wanda. I appreciate it.
It's an honor. Thank you so much for having me on. I look forward to talking about business and just letting everybody know what's the state of marketing is in SA. And yeah, it's an honor and pleasure to be on the show. Thank you so much.
Great. Yeah. So, really quick before we get too far in,
Hmm.
and I don't want to get too down in the weeds, but we'll get there later. But I can't resist. You
Yeah,
mentioned, as we were talking before the show, that when
yeah,
you began the consultancy, that South Africa was really a very what I'm going to call human contact, like touch, face to face type marketing
yeah,
environment,
yeah,
and now you're
yeah,
doing consulting with people and helping them kind of change how they think about marketing and growing their
yeah.
business. So, talk a little bit about that transition and how you've moved. I know you said you're really diving deep into the data end of marketing planning and
Yeah.
strategy, but I'd love to hear about how you kind of are helping clients kind of move out as the
Yeah,
world of marketing changes down there.
that's a very good question. And I'll be very honest with you. It's like even though we've made strides in terms of the industry in South Africa,
Mm,
it's still a bit of a struggle. Can I start in 2021 and work backwards so I can give the
sure.
viewer and the listener a clear picture of what it's like in SA?
Absolutely. Yeah, please do. I'd love to hear it.
Awesome. So, if you're a graduate, for example, and you studied marketing and you're looking for a job and you want to get started you want to get your career started in a firm, right?
Mm,
If you go on the popular websites online, the closest thing you'll get to a marketing job, quote unquote, is a call center. That's what marketing is to most um, people and most businesses and most organizations. It's you on the dialer, it's you selling insurance, it's you selling a cell phone contract, etc. So even if
hmm
for example, one of the struggles that we faced as a firm, we meet up with the client and we do a business analysis just to see, okay, where are you, what are some of your needs, and how can we assist you in order to scale and grow your business. And
hmm
you'd see that most of the time, a lot of them, they're not really looking for marketing strategies. They're not really looking um, for a marketing solution. They're looking for a sales solution. I don't know if
hmm
it's making sense. You understand what I'm saying? So then,
Sure.
and if you go, and then if we work backwards now, we're going 2020, 2019, 2018, with a lot of the businesses that are even on social media, go, for example, a restaurant within the Morningside area. So that's like an upper middle class area in Natal, in South
Okay.
Africa. So, and with a lot of the upper middle class areas, they have access to technology, so they know what's happening. They have the finger on the pulse of trends. So just
hmm
to paint a picture of what SA looks like for listeners who are not really aware of South Africa and the market there, we have high levels of inequality. So if you're living in a lower to middle income area, you don't really know of what the trends are,
Right.
right? So now the businesses that are situated in upper middle class areas, if their marketing strategies are poor, so I go onto your Facebook, all I see is one post that you did about 3 or 5 months ago.
Right.
There's scant information there. It paints a really depressing. I'm sorry to say this, but a really depressing picture, because
Right.
even with a lot of the firms, when we approach SMEs, small, micro, medium enterprises, a lot of them are like, we're fine, we're okay. If we do an analysis, they're not really okay. They're struggling to make ends meet. They're breathing on in terms of their finances, and online they're not really connecting. But
Mm-hmm.
okay, and I'm going on a tangent. But when we started in 2015. So the thing was, okay, we're in marketing. I'm gonna go out there. I'm gonna go flyers. I'm gonna go to malls, set up some stalls. That it worked. I started the business with my life partner
Okay.
in 2015. She was sort of like I call her the spine. She was like the backbone of everything.
Right.
And we went head first, and it worked for about 2 years. So 2015, 2016, we got our first client about a couple of months down the line. But we could see, in terms of the wave that was coming online, the phrase was digital marketing, digital marketing, digital
Right.
marketing. But we didn't really know what's digital marketing. Okay, a lot of people think that digital marketing is just having a Facebook or Twitter account, and saying, hey, we stand for this cause, or hey,
Right.
get out our discounts on a Friday. That's
Right.
it.
Right.
No real connection that's happening there. But as the more we dove deep, the more we invested in it, um, financially, intellectually, reading. I also started watching some Brian Tracy videos where he speaks about reading 50 books a year. So I was
Mm.
like, oh, okay, I want to be an expert in my field. Let me. Everyone's giving 100%. Let me give 200%. So I started
Right.
reading about, like, I was like, okay, before I read 50 books, what are the trends in marketing? Oh, it's data. Because if you're online and you're running campaigns, Facebook or Instagram or whatever platform that you're using is going to give you data. So you're going to know, oh, okay, I ran this ad on getting people to click,
Sure.
and, like, okay, I have like 20, 80, 60% of them were males between the ages of 25 to 30. Oh, okay, they're in the cloud area, which is where I'm from.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now that I have all of this information, it's gonna help me create better campaigns. So then I'm not gonna spend a ton of money. I don't have to sell my limbs in Taiwan. I'm like, oh,
Right.
okay. Uh, I can create ad campaigns and spend, knowing exactly what my market is and what they gravitate towards. I don't know if I
Sure.
answered your question.
Yeah.
But
Well,
just to give
yeah.
you, yeah, yeah.
I was going
But
to say what.
I just wanted to, yeah.
Go ahead. You
I'm,
finish.
I'm sorry. Go for it. Go for it.
I was
Yeah,
going to
I
say.
just wanted to pay. Yeah, yeah. No, no, you can go ahead, Andy.
Okay. I was going to say
Yeah.
the it sounds like you've got a lot of businesses who maybe have not grown to the point that they've spent a lot of time thinking about
Yes.
marketing and
Yes.
thinking about what does that customer look like and how do
Yes.
I get
Yes.
efficient in attracting them. So do you just spend a tremendous amount of time on education, of educating your clients and that kind of thing,
Yes.
or do they just kind of let you
Ye-
do whatever and trust you to do it?
Uh, wow. The thing is, Andy, you hit the nail on the coffin there. Because we spend like 80 to 90% of our time educating
Sure.
and just getting people to understand the importance of marketing, because a lot of businesses and firms treat marketing as the ugly stepchild.
Mm-hmm.
It's that thing that's going to cost me a lot of money, that, like, I can do it on my own.
Right.
But here's the thing. um if you were sick and you needed to go see a doctor, would you operate on yourself? No,
I would
you'd
try
you'd
not to,
you'd
but
let
I know
a,
plenty
a, a
of
trained
people who
professional
would.
operate on. You understand?
Right.
So, you have to let someone who has experience in the field. You have to let someone who's educated and you have to let an expert handle your marketing,
Hmm.
but I don't blame businesses. Like I don't want to be the cynical curmudgeon, the glass is half leak and there's the half full and there's a leak in it. A
Right.
lot of marketing practitioners, they don't it's not really about how can I assist, how business scale, get more profits, get more clients, how can I make the business process sustainable. It's more or less how can I get a quick buck. I'm gonna talk at Andy. I'm gonna have a meeting with Andy on
Right.
Monday at 9, and I'm just gonna go, hey, Andy, you know what? I looked at your website and you don't really have Facebook Pixel. Do you know what Facebook Pixel is?
Right.
Facebook Pixel is a code that tracks, and it's like, okay, what happens after I get Facebook Pixel? What happens after the SEO process?
Hmm.
What happens? Because what there's not an honesty. You need to let. For me, I'm honest with my clients. I tell them, listen, if someone says, Andy, I can guarantee you 30. I'm gonna run a campaign and I'm gonna guarantee you 30 customers walking through your door by the end of this month. Walk the other way,
Right.
because
Right.
not even the biggest companies can guarantee. Because I can, yes, we have the data, we have um historical data, we have all of the information that's out there, but we don't know how the market is going to react. We
Right.
don't know. We're taking, so if someone says I can run an ad campaign now for about if I'm running a commission and I want businesses to know that they're working with someone, number one is that values the relationship. I'm gonna go, okay, I'm gonna coach you through this for 88 rand. That's less
Hmm.
than about I think that's $2 or $3 if I'm not mistaken. So
Right.
for about $88, what you can do is you can run a 5-day ad. You'll have about 2,000 people looking at your ad if you're
Hmm.
lucky. About 100 of them will see the ad and then will click, sorry, and then
Right.
maybe lucky 3 will actually give you a call if you're lucky.
Hmm. Hmm.
And and I'll tell them, okay, try it. So then at least we have something to work with, because we did it when we first started decades ago. And a lot of them are really helpful because they don't have a lot of these businesses don't have a lot of money to spend, but we're giving them practical solutions on how they can get the process started. So my main thing is I want to get small to medium business owners excited again about their business, because we're we're in cycle COVID. We're tightening our belt. I don't know how much further I can tighten my belt. So I need another experience. Give me a solution that can assist me. Number one, get more clients, create brand awareness, and grow my business. And that's
Hmm.
what is Hypermedia Marketing offer.
Hmm. Hmm. Sure. So what prompted you guys to
Yeah.
start a marketing agency? What were you doing before 2015?
I've been working in sales from like three years now. There's
Right.
an opportunity. I'm already in university, because as part of your module, your major. So I have to
Mm-hmm.
speak in terms so like the American audience can understand me.
They'll figure it out. They'll be fine.
So yeah, like your major is sales. So
Right.
if take for example, if you don't, if you can get like an A in
Mm-hmm.
marketing, you can get an A in accounting and law. But if you don't pass your sales, your practical sales, which is where you have to go out and make 4,000 rands worth of sales,
Oh
you're not
wow.
going to pass. You're not
Interesting.
making it, because you cannot become a marketing professional if because that's the basic. You need to be able to know how to sell the product.
Right. Yep.
So from that, you do that for about a year, and from that, we were like, hey, we did this for about a year. We were good at past, top of our grade. Let's start a business.
Hmm.
And my love partner was like, okay, let's
Right.
do it. And then we registered, we did everything, and Hypermedia Marketing was born in 2015, our second year. So we did all of this while we were in university.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. Wow, that's great.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
really, I
yeah,
mean, you were able to take that path from that academic background. Although it sounds like
yeah.
South Africa is, I mean, I would say that method of education where
Yeah.
you're doing sales as a part of higher education and you're required to produce. I mean, that's part of
Yeah.
your grading.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's way better than what we have here. I mean, it's, in the United States for sure.
Yeah.
I can't speak to Europe, but
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that level of practical experience, and I think that gives you a lot of advantages
Yes.
when you're coming out of
Yes.
school, so to speak, because you've got so much real world
Definitely.
contact with markets and so on and
Yes.
so forth. So
Yes.
when you're serving clients, are you mostly working with, do you work with, say, a lot of smaller businesses like a restaurant or, a leasing agency or something
Yes.
like that? What are sort of the, I guess I would say, the groups of businesses that are ready for marketing in South Africa, where you think, okay, yeah, these are good people that we're going to approach because they could really benefit from the trends that we're seeing in digital marketing?
Um, we that's the thing. Like you can't really, because especially um, could the market is so different in Durban.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it could come from. I remember like the first time when we started going digital, we had security companies, we had gyms, we had restaurants. So I'll give you, let me I love giving allegories and stories so
Right.
to help people understand better. So if Tim wanted to be in marketing and he studied marketing and he started watching influencers saying, okay, these are the perfect niches, etc. I'd go for doctors, lawyers,
Right.
because
Right.
that's what works for digital marketing.
Right.
If you try that in Durban, it's not gonna work,
Right.
because a lot of it, it's more of a feel thing. You have to give value, so you can't really say, okay, I'm gonna be the lawyer guy, because you
Right.
call about. I remember the last time I called about like 60 lawyers, none of them were interested,
Right.
because a lot of our businesses are still, it's marketing is still like, especially digital marketing is still a thing they're iffy about, so if you're looking at SMEs, it could come from anywhere. Um the, uh, the the most enthusiastic client I remember was a caterer. He was
Hmm.
huge. He was
Interesting.
huge, because he worked with the National Air Force, and he was like he. When we spoke to him, he was like, "Dude, I'm getting charged about 10 grand for per letter." So, and like his business had about 20. The name had like 20 letters. So
Right.
imagine 10 times 20.
Oh, wow.
And we looked at the yeah, and we looked at the website, and the people that were servicing him when he
Hmm.
needed help, he couldn't even get a hold of them. You
Oh my
know,
God.
and we've got like nature reserves coming through. So it's I remember my life partner was like, we should really like specialize, work
Right.
with, say, the example for the hospital. Let's work with the hospitality industry, because obviously after
Mm.
COVID, it will recover and they're going to need marketing. And it's very vast, it's restaurants,
Right.
it's amusement parks, it's art galleries, etc., etc., etc. And we were like, okay, let's do some research first. And then we did our research, we went out into the market, and the market was just like, not us,
Right.
So I wish if I could give you a definitive answer, but all I can say for anyone out there um, who's in marketing in on our side of the shores, what you have to master is your service offering.
Mm. Hmm.
Provide value. Once
Sure.
you once you once you've nailed down value, then know the kind of client that you want to work with. Once you have some semblance of who you want to work with, then they might come in a variety of forms. As long as you're an expert in what you're doing, you're
Hmm.
sorted. Because you could work with the owner of a center, a center manager, work with a restaurant owner, as long as you're an expert in what you do and you're willing to learn and your value offering is solid, then it doesn't really matter,
Right.
which niche it is, because I think we get so focused on niches, we miss the value that we're trying to get out there. Because at the end of the day, um even if I'm working with restaurants, two restaurant like that offer Chinese food, there's still a variety of nuances. I still need to market differently, even though it's the same
Right.
category, and even though they're serving the same food, because the challenges are different.
Mm-hmm.
The,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm serving, and if one client A is Tong Wong and client B is Min Lee, and they both serve Chinese what's this, ramen noodles, and they both situated in example in Morningside, on the same
Right.
street. The way that they brand themselves, the market would look differently. So the moment the market looks at them differently, the challenges that they present, challenges that are going to be, they are different, because even staff and the old, like, it's so for like I have to be grounded in the knowledge that I have, and in my
Right.
ability to go, you know what, this Tong Wong, I'm going to learn about your business. I'm going to spend like 3 days learning about your business, learn about your challenges. Then I'm going to craft my service offering based off of your needs.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Mm-hmm.
we take it from there. And we've been successful at that. That's why we get people from all walks,
Sure.
all spheres working with us. Yeah.
So, tell me a little bit about the climate. We've talked to a lot of guests about kind of how things
Yes.
are with COVID, and
Yes.
then opening up, not opening up in the United States. Obviously, we're so much more gifted and privileged in a lot of ways because we've got a lot of places opening up now and things are kind of getting back to normal. um where do things stand for you down
Yes.
there, and what do you see coming through the rest of the year? Do you feel like
Yes.
you're coming out
Yes.
of it, or are you just kind of getting into a third wave? I mean, how does it look for you in terms of business?
Um, business wise, it's as all as everyone who's in business and entrepreneurship, um, from the moment COVID hit, it's been extremely difficult. You
Right.
know, whether it's COVID, whether it's a recession, the first thing that goes is marketing, because
Right.
we're tightening our belts.
Yeah.
But just to extend beyond myself and hypermedia marketing, and just to paint the landscape of what it is for businesses right now in South Africa, um, what I can say is, roundabout after we hit level one, when the president said, "Okay, let's ease into level one," businesses, like, the way South Africans responded, man, it's been inspiring. We've
Hmm.
had a lot of fearless individuals giving employment to a lot of um, um, professionals. We've had the nation has been responding really well. Even
Right.
though the numbers have been you know have painted a different tale. But if you're on the ground, one would assume, obviously having COVID protocols in place, with the social
Right.
distancing and the masks and people being safe, one would assume life went back to normal because of the way that organizations and people on the ground have taken to um, rebuild the economy.
Right.
So
Sure.
I definitely commend South Africans for doing that. I definitely commend um, the commerce for not giving up in the face of COVID, still giving people employment, still, even in the B2B space, the business to business space. I've had lots of clients and prospects, open to working with me,
Right.
in spite of, our fees, like, and things of that nature. So yeah, it's hopeful.
Mm-hmm.
But I, I'm saying that with lots of reservations, because
Sure.
there's an impending third wave.
Right.
But given I can only from what I've experienced now and what I'm seeing, there's a lot of positivity in the air. You know, um, unemployment statistics aside, um, uh, the Moody's rating aside, and what the doomsayers
Right.
and economists and whatever
Right.
it is, um, what I'm seeing as an entrepreneur on the ground, for me, it's extremely hopeful. I go onto my socials and I see people that have been job searching for about 3 years, getting employed. I'm seeing entrepreneurs starting businesses, flourishing during COVID.
Right.
So it paints a very, very hopeful picture if we can keep on supporting small businesses, because the small businesses are the lifeblood of a lot of economies, whether it's stateside, because I have
Right.
lots of friends stateside, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
in Europe, Asia. SMEs are the lifeblood. That's where we all got our starts. That's where we are. As if whether you're a startup, you need to start it as you can't skip the 4 stages. You have to
Right.
be
Right.
you have to freelance first. You have to be a solopreneur. Then you manage. Then you become entrepreneur with the investments and all of that. You can't skip it. You
Right.
can't. You have to stop. And then once you enter the solopreneur stage, that's when you start hiring other people. That's when you're scaling now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why we say small businesses are the lifeblood of the economy. But sorry, I took a little bit of a detour there. But just to answer your question, the climate is positive.
Sure.
Just don't pay attention to like the news and all of that stuff. From what I'm telling you
Yeah.
from the ground, as an
Yeah.
optimistic South African, we're holding on. We're holding on.
Yeah.
We just have to be positive, and even stateside, um, I'm seeing I'm in a lot of groups with entrepreneurs that are that are open-minded, that are like, okay, like how do we make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, we just need to all just work together, keep a positive frame of mind, and learn. you know Entrepreneurship is um it's a lifelong journey. You can't want to do it because you want to appear on socials, or you have to want to do it, number one, to make a difference in
Mm-hmm.
the community, because we as entrepreneurs, we don't exist without the community. We live to serve, and that's a lifelong commitment. So COVID is going to come and go. We lost 20 years or 15 years. It's going to come and go, but our
Right.
commitment in the community, that's what we should, that's what we need right now. But yeah, it's positive.
Yeah. Well, and I think you're absolutely you're absolutely right about the news, in that there's just well, the news is just, I mean, it's a product, we know that, but it's just not
Yeah,
about
yeah.
normal everyday people like us, right? I mean, it's just this kind of,
No,
and I think it is true, there were a lot of people, and there still are a lot of business owners who have put a lot of
yeah,
faith in their communities, and hired and kept a
yes,
lot of people on, and we all know that the
yeah,
business is going to come back, right? So it's
yes,
maybe it's a tough time now, but we're gonna grow and flourish,
yeah,
and kind of keep going from there. And
yeah,
that kind of brings me around to a question, and we try to ask this, these are the kind of the big questions we ask everybody on the podcast, and
go
one
for it.
is great because you were talking about so many entrepreneurs are getting started, and you're
Yeah,
relatively, um, you're still early enough in having started the company that I think your perspective is really
yeah,
unique. And
yes,
if you had the ability to counsel some of these people who are starting a business, no matter what it is, maybe catering, or a
yeah,
driver service, or leasing agency, or a flower shop,
yeah.
whatever, um, what one piece of advice would you give somebody just starting out as they are looking to get their own business going?
Embrace failure.
Oh, I
It
like
doesn't
that.
exist.
All right. All
It
right.
doesn't exist. Embrace failure, because um, it's coming. I remember the first time I quit my job. Oh, my life partner hated me for that.
All
They're
right.
like, "Where are you going? Why?"
Right.
and and the moment I quit, like there was like this big clock that was just counting down 10 until my first day.
Right.
But then what happens? You learn. You're like,
Right.
okay, what can I do differently? You come back, and then you keep going, because like, remember I said it's a lifelong commitment.
Right.
um you know, you good. I love technology. I love what social media is doing. There's a lot of this culture where young people are getting into entrepreneurship. Good, go for it. You watch a lot of motivational videos, and you want to be the next Gary V. You want to be
Right.
the next, Mark Cuban. Go for it. You
Yep.
know, but understand that you can't. It's you have to know why you're there. Understand your why. I remember Simon Sinek. He says once you
Oh yeah.
understand your why, your
Mm-hmm.
purpose, you're one step closer to your purpose. So if you understand your why, you
Mm-hmm.
will not be because it's devastating, man. You invest about $100,000 or 50,000 of your life savings. You take,
Right.
or you in your 50s, and you're like, you know what? Let me take out something from my 401k, and then
Mm-hmm.
after a month, your business tanks. That's devastating.
Right.
You got kids to feed, and then you got to go back to employment. It's devastating. So the thing is, oh, you're 25, you're still schlepping off with your moms, you're still living with your mother, and like you're trying to start your business, but it's not working out. So you have to understand that it's a part of the process. Failure is not real, it's an illusion. It's just the universe and the business environment telling you to grow, get better at your craft.
Right.
Okay, you spoke to about 100 people or 500 people. A lot of them ghosted you. A lot of them are not responding to your emails. Okay, how do you improve your marketing process?
Right.
Okay, you're a caterer. Um, the reviews are terrible. The food's too salty. The way, like the staff gives clients attitude. Okay,
Right.
what? Okay, now how do I train my clients? How do I
Right.
train my staff to understand that customer service etiquette has to be at the top of the list, because this is
Mm-hmm.
how we pay the bills. You understand? This is how your kids go to college. So if the customer is not satisfied and the customer doesn't come back tomorrow, the business closes down. You don't
Right.
eat.
Yep.
You
Yep.
understand?
Oh
So
yeah.
failure is an illusion. It's an illusion. It's gonna
Mm-hmm.
happen. Embrace it.
Sure.
Learn from it and keep going. I mean, Thomas Edison, I think he failed 9,999 times,
Oh,
and he was
right.
like,
To
"No, I
making a
learned
light bulb. Yeah.
9,999 times to get thing."
Right. Right. Well, and I think it's easy.
So it's the same thing
Yeah.
with business. You got to keep going.
Right. And it's
Hmm.
easy to let
You think it's easy?
discouragement take hold
Yes.
when things get
Yes.
challenging, when things get tough, and it's hard to learn to love that,
Yeah.
right? It's hard to learn to say, "Oh wow,
Yeah.
I'm in a situation now that's you know hard, and maybe some things aren't going the way
Yeah.
I want them to, and it's difficult to see the end
Yeah.
of that, and then realize you're learning as you go." I have a friend
Yeah.
who owns a business, and somebody is
Mhm.
claiming to work for them who does not work for
Yeah.
them, and it was weird, and
Wow.
I was talking to him about it, and he said, "Hey, we've arrived, this is awesome, people are imitating us now, and
Yeah.
claiming that they're." And I thought, well,
Yeah.
that's a great way to look at that. He says, "Yeah, man,
Yeah.
if you're no,
Yeah.
if you're a nobody, nobody wants to pretend they work for you." So it was a very
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I think that is embracing failure, or
Yeah.
embracing conflict, or embracing difficult circumstances, and deciding,
Yeah.
hey, this is
Yeah.
part of my journey. This is something I'm going to go through, and I'm
Yeah.
going to have to understand it's not the end of the
Exactly.
road. It's just a part of the road. Yeah, absolutely. And well, I love that
Yeah.
answer, which
You
now
have
me,
you,
I'm
you you have to remove your ego.
right. Yeah, absolutely. You have to remove your ego from the situation.
Get rid
Well,
like the yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
And you have to let yourself learn. You have to give yourself the freedom to learn,
Yes.
and to see a future.
Yes.
I think
Yeah.
that's a great piece of advice.
Yeah.
Um,
Before you carry on, I
yeah.
was this morning I was watching an interview with the late great Kobe Bryant, may his soul rest in peace,
Oh yeah.
and he was just talking about the same thing about um because he's in the middle. He doesn't really he was like, you know what, I don't really focus too much on the fear of failure and wanting to succeed. He finds the balance. He's in the middle. He walks the
Right.
middle way. And I was like, wow, this guy's on another level. No one, and he focused on doing the basics right. Once he
Right.
mastered the basics of how to play basketball, and he understood the game
Hmm.
since he was like a little kid. I was like, you know what? I had the same business. First I need to understand, the nature and the beast of business, the same way
Right.
that Kobe did with basketball. Then I need to go back to the basics of just like how do I run an organization? And he was
Hmm.
like, failure's an illusion. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm gonna live by that code. So I just wanted to just throw that out there.
Yeah, and he was, and I think that idea of the basics is really important because if you master those and you focus on that mastery, it allows you to understand. Um,
Yeah,
I mean, we don't get angry at a baby for falling down while the baby is learning to walk, right? And so to get angry at
exactly.
ourselves
Perfect analogy.
while we are learning these things, and we're always as entrepreneurs, we're always babies in a way, right? We're always learning to go to do the next thing and
Yeah,
to acquire the next skills, and I think that's
yeah,
hugely important. Um, well, that
yeah.
brings me to the big question. Now, this is the big one. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Go for
If you could have a meal with any living public figure all over the world, who
it.
who who would that be? What would you talk about, and what meal would you eat?
Oh, oh, man, it's so difficult. Whew. Ah, it would have to be Brian Tracy. Um,
Okay, I
I don't
love it.
know. Yeah, it'd have to be Brian Tracy. I've been following Brian Tracy for a while now.
Hmm.
It would have to be Brian Tracy. Our conversation would revolve around um, number one, success psychology,
Right.
goal setting. It would revolve around um, what do we talk about? Success psychology, um, goal setting, time management, and I'd ask him. I'd after like that. After we've done having our starters, I'll tell you in a moment what the meals are. I just want to speak to him about his experience because
Right.
obviously Brian is in his 70s right now, if I'm not mistaken. He has a wealth of knowledge. He's been in sales. He's been
Right.
able to reinvent himself numerous times,
Yep.
and from there, I'd be able, based, because based off of his experience, I'd be able to just go back to the basics. I
Right.
mean, the thing where he spoke about the 50 book thing,
Hmm.
expert, that completely changed my life and the way I look at things. I was like, hey, I could have a college education here, you know, watching, going to seminars, reading books,
Right.
staying, because a lot of professionals, whether they're in marketing, engineering, whatever,
Hmm.
um, I mean, once I've got my qualification and I'm working and I got my 5, really gonna, because yeah. What is the meal? Um, I love biryani. I live in Durban, so
Oh, nice.
Durban has the highest amount of the highest concentration of the Indian diaspora outside of India.
Oh, wow.
So definitely, yeah, you like all of
Uh,
the goodies like your samosas, and we
oh,
have,
yeah.
yeah. So that would be the starter, and then the main course would be biryani served obviously by my life partner who will be like our host.
I love it. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
A meal at home with Brian Tracy, right? That would be fantastic. I think I love that. Brian's work has been
Yeah,
so, I mean,
yeah,
he's touched so well on so many different
yeah,
areas of
yes, yes,
entrepreneurship and
yeah,
and and um and really growing as a
yeah,
marketer and a business
yeah,
person.
yes,
I love that. I love that idea.
yeah,
And he really does have a wealth. I think the point you had said, he's reinvented himself many, many times. I think as he's
yeah,
grown, right? He learns, he does, gets into new things, and then his message,
yeah,
changes to adapt to that.
yeah,
So terrific. And I love Indian food.
yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, where our
Ooh,
town is, we only have a couple of restaurants that serve Indian food, and but
yeah,
I think
yeah.
clearly this tells me I need to get down to Durban if it's got the largest concentration of uh, Indians outside of
Oh,
India. That sounds like a great place to come eat.
you have to ask for a mutton bunny. Oh,
Okay.
Uh, so for all the Americans and the Europeans out there, the worldwide community listening to Andy's podcast, so is basically take a loaf of bread, cut it
Okay.
in half. It has to be unsliced though,
Okay.
unsliced. Cut it in,
Unsliced, cut it. Yeah.
and then make a hole. Yeah, make a hole inside, and then like put some curry, like some extra hot mutton curry. That's what a bunny is. Oh, it is
Oh, that sounds good.
divine.
Okay.
You
Wow.
you can go anywhere in South Africa, Joburg, Cape Town, wherever. You get a bunny, but you will not get a bunny as good as Durban. It's a Durban thing. You know, like how New York and LA has New York, you know,
Right.
a New York feel like pizzas in New York are pizzas. Or the Chicago deep dish pizza.
Right.
Yeah. So Durban bunnies, the
I
best.
love it. I love it. I might have to learn how to make those. Yeah, our Indian food situation is such that I
Yeah.
make Indian food at home because I love it so much. But now I'm going to figure out how to make this. I love
Yeah.
it, the bunny.
Yeah.
Awesome,
It's really
awesome.
simple.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much. That's our big question of the podcast. Everybody, our guest again
Mhm.
is Wanda Bhala of Hypermedia Marketing. I know their website is in process, but you can find them at Hypermedia Marketing on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and y'all are on TikTok now. So, honestly,
Yeah.
I have just started a deep dive into TikTok. I was skeptical of the platform at first, but there's a lot of tremendous content on it and a lot of great
Ooh.
people doing good stuff. Yeah,
Yeah. Andy, I tell
absolutely.
you, it's algorithm is on fire, especially with your content. If you go
That's
on
great.
TikTok, I'm telling you, like it'll fire. It's not like Instagram where you can be on the platform for like 5 years and you still got like 300 people
Right,
on
right.
following you. Like
Yeah,
TikTok is on it's on another level.
that's
So
great.
yeah, I'd advise you to keep growing. That's where in terms of marketing,
Hmm.
just that's where a lot of businesses are focusing on now.
Sure.
A lot of influencers and businesses they're looking at growing their following on TikTok because, I mean, it took what Instagram, and if I'm not mistaken, on YouTube and with the to a whole different level. I mean, even YouTube now is doing like stories that's crazy.
Right. Yeah, I've seen that. Yep.
Yeah,
Sure. Well, great. Well, thank you so much for
yeah.
being on. We appreciate it, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. You can find contact information about our guest in the show notes for this episode. This has been the How I Make Money podcast by Brand Distillers. To learn more, visit branddistillers.com.